So how do you want me to, so people on Zoom can see me?
So we set up the camera from back there, so you just stand in the center.
Okay.
And then, right here, we have your Zoom, okay, so then if you just scroll down,
Information. Oh, you want me to scroll down?
I can scroll.
Will you scroll down for me then? And then, okay, and also, if you guys are interested in giving me your email, it's like a free, like I have a Facebook and an Instagram page, but anyway, I give out monthly newsletters if you're interested in it, if you want to, you can give me your email to do that. Are we waiting for other people to show up?
Where do we turn in the raffle tickets?
Oh, right, okay, turn in the raffle tickets to me once, I don't know if has everyone gotten a raffle ticket? Do I need more?
I think everyone.
He didn't get.
Yeah, so you can just, here, I can.
Here's a ticket and we keep the coupon,
You
right?
keep the coupon, and then you wanna give me your ticket, and then I will, I'll announce it at the end. If someone gets a copy of the book. Thank you. Are you guys, well, raise your hand if you're like a freshman. And then who's a sophomore? And a junior? Yeah, okay, and then anyone who's a senior? Okay, you two are senior. Oh, so you're really starting to think about law school a little bit more, right? Okay, here. Thanks. You're welcome. Did you get, you didn't get one?
No, it's okay.
Okay, well, do you want to be in the raffle for a copy of my book? Okay, you don't, do you want one?
No, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have till 5, right? Okay, so, is it okay if I stand here or, or where do you want? I can't tell. Oh.
You are in the
Where's
frame
the-
on the camera.
Yeah. I'll go over there.
Oh, okay.
You're in frame.
in-
The image is mirrored so they can show the actual words on the
Oh, okay,
slideshow.
so if I'm like this, is this?
Yeah.
I think you should be good.
Okay, all right, so, should we start?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to be able to face you guys too. So, first of all, you can kind of go to the next slide. Next slide.
Probably.
Oh.
If you open it with
Oh, there
Google
we go.
Slides, you'll be able to present.
Okay, there.
Okay,
So, welcome introduction, and then you can go to the next slide. So, my name is Teresa Power, and I'm an attorney and also an author and educator. And I actually was in Blackstonian Pre-Law Society at USC. I graduated from USC and then went straight to Pepperdine Law School. So, and then I practiced real estate law for a while and then didn't really like it so much. So anyway, I decided I wanted to become a teacher and an educator. So I wrote this book, The ABCs of Law School, Diary of a First Year Student. And then I also, we can go to the next slide. I also have this course, How to Prep for Law School in 1 week. And for those of you guys that weren't here, probably most of you were, but I have a little coupon thing for you guys all. So it's like basically you save $400 with this specific coupon and it doesn't expire. So if you guys want to take the class this summer, it's really a great class. It's got video lessons, it's got quizzes, it's got homework assignments where you learn how to brief a case and you actually are going to learn how to do the IRAC approach. There's a lot of information in this class that'll help you understand what your first year of law school is all about. So that's that. Okay, next slide. So, we're going to talk and we're going to cover a lot of topics and I have a lot of energy and I kind of speak fast. So hopefully we'll get through it all. I want to talk to you guys about ways to prepare and succeed in law school and how to become a creative problem solver, because that's really important in law school because you're actually solving problems for clients. There's questions to ask if you want to be a lawyer. So I will talk to you about starting salaries. I'll talk to you about the LSAT, all this kind of stuff. And the importance of your first year GPA, which is very important. And then law school is not college all over again. It's completely different ball wax. And strategies to get ahead of the curve and how to study smarter, not harder. So let's talk about ways to prepare for law school. Okay, so next slide. Okay, now, first of all, you want to familiarize yourself with all the core 1L law school subjects. So basically, no matter what law school you go to, you're going to be taking a combination of these courses. They may be called something a bit different, like sometimes they call constitutional law, constitutional studies or something like that, and legal research and writing may be called a little bit of a different name. But no matter what law school you go to, you're going to be taking these core subjects and in your first year of law school. And it's really important to become familiar with them before law school so you can start understanding what it is. When I went to law school, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, I was Phi Beta Kappa, you see, straight A student, you know. I go into law school and I got a C on my legal research and writing paper. I go, what? What's this all about? Because it's a completely different way of thinking and studying. And I wish I had had something like this course or what I'm talking to you guys about before I started. So these are the main, we're going to talk about all these, not in detail, but I'm going to familiarize you with them. Okay, so next slide. So also in law school, it's important to know the difference between substantive and procedural law. So this is very important because substantive law is the body of laws that structure and govern our society. So in that example of all those classes I just showed you, that includes torts, contracts, criminal law, and real property. So those are all those courses deal with the law and the rules of law regarding those subjects. Whereas procedural law is the set of procedures used to make and administer and enforce the substantive law. So that's civil procedure and criminal procedure. So those are basically the rules that govern how the laws are enforced, if that makes sense. Okay, next slide. So what is a tort? So you're going to spend a whole semester on torts. And believe me, it's very confusing. This is a textbook. I want you guys just to come up. Maybe I'll end a few minutes early so you guys can come up and look at this. But this is your textbook. And this is how you learn about torts. So it's not explaining what a tort is at all. You have no idea. Your first day of law school, you will have no idea what a tort is unless you had a class like mine or you looked it up. So, because they don't tell you anything. The professor has you read cases to find out information. So actual law cases. So basically, a tort is a legal violation that results in harm or injury to a person and can be the basis for a lawsuit seeking compensation for that harm. So basically, we learned in law school about intentional torts when someone actually intends to hurt someone else, like they push them and they get hurt. So it's an assault and possibly a battery, right? Or we learned about negligence, which is like a slip and fall case. If someone slips and falls and they didn't, mean to do it, but it's still unactionable, but there was no intent involved. And then we also learned about strict liability torts, where actually it's product liability. So it's basically, you don't even have to prove any liability. It was dangerous, inherent in the condition. So basically that's kind of the whole ball of wax for torts in a nutshell. And your legal research and writing course teaches you how to find and understand the law. So you need to go to the library and do research to find law cases that are relevant to whatever case you're going to be doing. And so that it's a whole, you learn about how to find statutes, how to find case law, and that's what lawyers do. Spend a lot of time in the library trying to, get cases to support their point of view. Yes.
I had a question about torts, actually.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's on the civil side, right? So there's no one getting like prosecuted and sent to jail for
No,
that, but
yes.
it's like a lawsuit.
Good,
right?
yes, exactly. So that's a civil lawsuit, and that's a good point because civil procedure, remember we talked about substantive law, which is procedural law. So civil procedure deals with the rules in court for a tort to happen. You know what I mean? So so it's a plaintiff, someone gets injured and they sue someone else for damages, but not criminal. That's criminal law.
Awesome.
That's a good question. Okay, next one. Okay, so contracts is again civil law, only civil law. And a contract is basically a legally enforceable promise. And there must be an agreement between two or more persons, which creates an obligation to do or not do something else. Now, there's a lot of elements that need to be met for a valid contract, and there's defenses to it that come up, and you learn all about this in your semester-long contracts class, right? And you learn about the Universal Commercial Code, which deals with services. And you also learn that some contracts can be oral and some have to be in writing. So you learn all these nuances and when you're, in your first year contracts class. And then civil procedure. Now this concerns litigation. So basic for like contracts and torts and property. So basically, this course teaches you how one's rights are enforced. It's where the disputants go to court to resolve their dispute. Because if you have, a dispute about trespass, let's say someone comes onto your land and trespasses or whatever, I don't know. And so that's the tort, right? Is trespass. You have to find out if the elements of that are present, right? And then you need to know the rules in court which is like discovery, which is filing a complaint, which is the federal rules of civil procedure, all these kind of things. So this is a very complicated class, actually. And let's talk about criminal law and criminal procedure, because this is another area, what we've got going here. So criminal law defines the crimes and punishments. So criminal offenses include homicide, theft, assault and battery, and drug offenses. Whereas criminal procedure, just like civil procedure, protects the rights of the accused. So basically includes safeguards for search and seizure, arrest and detention, right to counsel, the trial process, and sentencing. So it's kind of interesting because all these various areas of the law, I'm sure you guys have been exposed to in one way or the other, like either yourself or watching, legal shows or whatever, because all of this kind of all ties together. Okay, so next slide. So I'm going to tell you guys a joke just because it's what I do in my class too, because it's good. And I'm going to make you guys do some yoga too in a minute, but because I'm a yoga teacher besides doing my law. But okay, so a criminal lawyer tells the defendant, I have some good news and some bad news. What's the bad news? Asks the defendant. The bad news is your blood is all over the crime scene and the DNA tests prove you did it. What's the good news? Your cholesterol is 1/3. Okay. It's just like a little joke. It's always good, you guys, to have a little humor. And even in college, you know what I mean? You got to, you just can't take things so seriously all the time. All right. Now, the next core class is property law. So property law involves conflicts over ownership and title. It involves additional rights of way like easements, being able to cross someone's land, land use restrictions and zoning law you learn about, rental agreements and leases. I mean, that's important. I'm sure you guys all have some sort of rental agreement maybe or a lease, depending on where you're living right now. Permission and approvals for construction and development, and claims for property damage and nuisance, and also home loans and liens. So basically, there's a lot of stuff here that is encompassed in a property law class. And by the way, so when I went to law school, all of these were a one-year class, right? So at one semester, part of it, and the second semester part of it. Now they're really trying to consolidate things in law school. So basically, they're putting it all into one semester. So you still have to know everything, but it is much more intense to learn all this stuff in one semester. And I'm going to get into how it's taught in a few minutes, how all of this is taught. Okay, and then the last class you're going to be studying during your first year of law school is constitutional law. And this is the body of law derived from the US Constitution or a state constitution. And it deals primarily with governmental powers and civil rights and liberties. So this is a very important class. I mean, you hear about First Amendment rights, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, right to bear arms, all this kind of stuff. All this has to do with constitutional law. And this is a great class. And actually in law school, you can get an AmJur award for each class, which means you get the highest grade in the class for it. And it looks good on your law school resume. Well, I got the AmJur award for constitutional law. I like constitutional law a lot. So, okay, so now we're going to go into another topic, understanding the way law school is taught. So this is where it becomes complicated because in law school, the professor uses this Socratic method. So it's a method where the teacher engages the students through asking them questions and having them give the answer. So in other words, you're gonna be reading in your casebook, your textbook is a case, like an actual lawsuit case, excerpts from it. You have to read that case and understand it because the professor's gonna ask you about it. He's gonna ask you, who's the plaintiff in this case that he has you read, or who's the defendant, or why is this case in the textbook? So you guys have to be on your toes. And it's a little daunting because he doesn't necessarily tell you, okay, assault has these elements. You kind of have to figure it out from the case. So it's different, you know, because in college, usually you read a book and you understand what they're saying, and then the professor, you know, tests you on the knowledge, but that's not so in law school. They don't give you many answers. You have to figure it out yourself. And then the casebook is contains excerpts from legal cases, which are challenging to read and understand. But once you start getting the hang of it, it's not so bad. But sometimes you can have 50 pages a night or 100 pages a night with all your different classes due the next day. And you need, which we'll talk about, you need to be briefing them, which is a certain method that law professors want you to do. So it's really important to have good time management skills in law school because there's just a lot of, you know, reading and a lot of material. And sometimes nothing makes sense half the time. So, okay, so next slide. So this is what I'm saying. So briefing a case. So you're going to get a case in this case book here. This is, you know, this is the case book for torts. And so it has a case. So this one is Cole versus Turner or whatever, right? So so you need to write down, you read it, the case first. You need to write down on a piece of paper the name of the case, which is Cole v. Turner. Okay, the nature of the case. So what is the case about? Well, this says it's a trespass for assault and battery. So you'd write that down. And then the facts of the case. And I haven't really read the facts on this right this minute, but I'm just picking it out. But there's certain facts. So you want to write out the facts of the case in your own words. And then the issue. So what do the people want? Well, one person wants to prove there's an assault maybe, and one person said there wasn't one. So the issue would be whether there was an assault. And then you have to give the rule of law for an assault. So what is an assault? It's like putting a person in apprehension of being imminent harm. And then you have to go into an analysis deciding what the court decided, how they decided whether an assault happened or not, whether the person actually was in apprehension of being harmed. And then you do the holding or conclusion of the case. What did the judge decide? So this is a lot of work to be doing all this. And that's why I think it's important to understand all this ahead of time. So when you get in there, you feel a little more understanding of what's ahead of you. You know what I mean? And then it makes you a little bit less nervous because you at least have an idea of what you're supposed to be doing. So why brief cases? It's the best way to prepare for class because the professor is going to ask you questions about the brief. And it's an active role in learning. So you're really learning about reading actively and understanding things.
I was in your experience, like how long is a typical brief for a case? Like,
oh, well, you don't have time to do huge things like that. And a lot of times students like to just write it in their textbooks, right? But it's not long. It's just maybe half a page.
Okay.
Because you just want to use those elements. And in my online class, right, I actually have you guys brief a case and I have a little template showing you guys how to do it. So each case you read will introduce a new rule of law, modify a rule of law, or show how the rule of law was applied incorrectly, because sometimes they may reverse a decision. So you're always learning something from each. Okay, and all of this helps you as a lawyer, because the first year of law school is preparing you to become a lawyer, because this is what lawyers do. They have to go and figure all these things out. You know, if they have a client that comes in and said he was assaulted, you as a lawyer has to decide, okay, wait, are the elements there? You know what I mean? Or can we prove it? So, okay. Okay, so let's take a yoga. Okay, so everyone stand up. Anyone can do this one. It feels good to do this. I also weirdly teach kids yoga too. I mean, I have like on the side. So I named this volcano pose, but it's good. So first of all, shake everything out for a minute. Okay, so bring your hands in prayer position and pray hard. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Bring your arms up. And then bring them out to the side and go whoosh. It feels really good. Okay, so try it again. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, whoosh. I'm saying whoosh because it feels good to get your breath going. So inhale, arms up. exhale, whoosh. Okay, so we're gonna do one other pose too. I'm kind of getting hot here with my back, and I'm drinking all this coffee. So, okay, so let's also just do like a side stretch. So bring your arms up in the air. Good. And then I want you to go to one side and just stretch to one side and just feel like it's a really good to kind of stretch the side of your body. So let's just count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And come all the way up to center. Let's just do the other side. So stretch for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now come all the way up. And then I want you guys to stretch back. So bring your arms up and then just stretch back, kind of like a waterfall. So just go back as far as you can, just a little bit. Just, it feels good just to breathe here. And then come up to center. You may feel a little dizzy because that's normal because you're just, going up. So now bend your knees a little bit and just fold forward for a minute. So just fold forward. Your knees can be bent or straight. Just fold forward and just kind of, you can rock your neck side to side if you want. And just kind of, you can bend your knees a little bit if you want. Let's get a nice little forward stretch. And then come all the way up to standing. And then let's just do the chair pose. So you guys sit in chairs all day, right? So let's just do a little chair pose. So arms come up and you're just gonna sit down. I mean, okay, well, I'll ask you that question. So let's count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, come all the way up. Good. Just shake everything out. Okay, good. And then the last one we're gonna do is the triangle pose. So you're just gonna bring one leg. I can't really do it because I've got these stupid high heels on, but anyway, but you're gonna bring, you don't want your foot resting on your knee. It's either below your knee or above your knee. And I can usually do it higher, but I can't in these shoes. So anyway, so let's just try it. And let's just count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't really balance so well in these shoes, but okay, so try the other side. Okay, so let's count to 5. 1, and really focus on 1.2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And just kind of shake everything out for a minute. And you should feel a little bit better just to kind of get your body moving a little bit, and kind of roll your shoulders back a little bit and roll them forward. And actually I didn't bring it, but I have a 5-minute routine for law students that you guys, it's in my book, but and I have it online actually, if you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, but it's good to just do some stretches, in between, because it kind of gets your mind clearer a little bit. And at the very end, we're gonna do a meditation before we're done. So, which I think you guys will like. So, all right. So now that we have stretched our bodies, let's go. I guess people can see me. Okay, so let's
1 second, we're just making it to a slide just easier.
okay. Okay, so this is some tips to develop habits. And so this is actually, these are good tips for you guys now in college as well as in law school, but it's especially important in law school, is to develop a routine and stay organized. You got to, and I'm sure you know this in college, but you got to stay organized and on top of things. If you start to get behind, you're going to get into big trouble. And participate in class because the professors notice that if you participate. And seek out support. If you don't understand something, you can either ask the professor or ask fellow students. A big thing in law school, and I would assume in college too, is to talk with friends or have study groups with friends, because sometimes it's good to study with someone else to talk the information out with. And this is important, is to develop a mindset of success. So I'm really big on believing that if you think you can do it and you feel that you can see yourself doing it, you can do anything you want. It's all in your mind. So set yourself up right now, even for your midterms. I mean, we were talking about that you guys have midterms coming up. See yourself getting the grade. See yourself getting an A and really feel it. What would it feel like if I got an A? And really feel it like, okay, or think, okay, someone's congratulating me for getting an A on my midterm. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of get yourself into this expectancy that you're going to do well. And that's important in all of life, whether it be in college, law school, or beyond. And take frequent breaks, even in college. It's not good to study more than 45 minutes at a time before taking a little coffee break or yoga break, or, go have a glass of water, whatever you want to do, or get something to eat, because studying too long is not good for your mind. Your mind can't retain things as well. So it's important to study not more than 45 minutes at a time. And even if a 5-minute break, and then you go back. And then take care of yourself too. You know, self-care is really important. Make time for things you like to do, and also yoga and meditation is important. You know, and even if you don't have time to go to a yoga class or whatever, you can still do a few yoga poses or just a few stretches just to kind of get yourself, you know, having a break before you move on. It really kind of changes your whole mindset. Okay, so in law school, I mean, you guys really don't need to, I'm making it very brief because you guys are probably so far from going to law school right now, but I just want you guys to know that in law school, let's go back to the outline. It's important to create an effective outline, because for torts, there's a lot of torts. There's all these intentional torts, then there's the negligent torts, then there's the strict liability torts, and there's rules of law for those. Then there's defenses to that you need to memorize, right? So basically, you want to organize your outline based on your professor's syllabus by identifying these topics I'm talking about, and then you rank topics into the proper hierarchy and insert the rules, because for exams, you need to know the right rule of law. And then you can fill in the details, either from your briefs or from what the professor has told you. And that could be going for outlines for your classes in college too. So law school exam strategies. So your exam is going to be basically, some are multiple choice, but the majority are essays, right? You're going to get this fact scenario where there's a lot of things going on. So like, you know, someone, Mr. Brown, you know, knocked over a pod and it hit someone else or whatever. There's just a lot of weird things going on. There's like, so, and they're going to try to test you on all the different nuances of that particular subject within a fact pattern. So you need to read it and you need to spot the issues. So in a real property exam, there might be something to do with an easement, and you have to find that and realize, okay, was there an easement? What are the rules for the easement? And then you have to analyze whether there was an easement or not. And then recognize and cite the correct rule of law, and then reach a logical conclusion. So in law school, the professor doesn't care what your conclusion is, as long as the analysis is what he wants to see. He wants to see you being a creative problem solver, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then also on your exam, you're going to learn a lot about IRAC. So IRAC, and we talked a little bit about it in briefing the case, but the IRAC method for a law school exam is to spot the issue, and then, you know, whether we talked about earlier, assault occurred.
So are all the exams written?
Most of them are. There are some multiple choice, but the multiple choice are not easy, because they'll give you a huge fact scenario and then ask you like kind of these questions about it, like whether a tort occurred or whatever, but you kind of have to analyze the facts. But there are some multiple choice, but most of them are written. Okay, so it's the issue, rule of law, analysis, and then conclusion. So that's the kind of the breakdown of that. And then, okay, so how to become a creative problem solver, because that's what you are if you're a lawyer or in law school. So no matter what kind of lawyer you will be, your job will be to solve a problem for your client. You're being educated and trained to use the law to solve problems. So basically, okay, so let's pretend there's this hypothetical ordinance somewhere that says no vehicles are allowed in the park. Okay, so that seems straightforward, right? No vehicles. Okay, but what about a baby stroller? Is that a vehicle? What about a wheelchair? Is that a vehicle? A bicycle? You know, there's so many different variations that you can do. So the way you become a good lawyer is you make an argument for both sides, whether a wheelchair is or is not a vehicle, or a bicycle. Is that a vehicle? A motorcycle? You know, so this is an example of using your creative abilities to argue whether it is or not. And it depends on who you're representing, what you will argue. So that's kind of an example of that. Now, questions asked if you want to be a lawyer. Okay, how many years is law school? Anyone know? Yeah, 3. All right. Okay, which undergraduate degree should you get? Anyone know? Okay, it doesn't matter. They don't care what you can get a degree in anything. I mean, I was a history major, right? But the only thing that is really helpful to take, though, is, which we talked about earlier, is philosophy classes, because it's very analytical, the law. And so if you have a class in college you could take that teaches you about deductive and inductive reasoning, that would help you in law school. But they don't care if you're a philosophy major, a history major, a science major, international relations, doesn't matter. As long as you, it's good to be in the pre-law society, because I was in that, and that's good to put on your resume. It's good to have all that information on your resume. Okay, anyone know what the LSAT is? You guys all know?
Law school admissions test.
Yeah. So basically, that is the one barometer. That and your GPA are the two things law school look at. And that exam is multiple choice. That's what counts. It has 2 experimental essays, which don't necessarily count, but it teaches you how to analyze it. It shows whether you can analyze things. So that's what I'm saying is like maybe consider taking a philosophy class or deductive reasoning or something like that. So you can kind of get that idea, because that's what the LSAT is all about. And by the way, if you guys are interested in going to law school, you should probably take it the summer of your junior year, because you can always retake it in your senior year. But you kind of want to, if you don't do as well, but you kind of want to get it done on the early side so you can start getting going with your applications. Okay, anyone want to know how much lawyers get paid? Okay, so basically I looked this up. So salary is heavily dependent on the location and size of the firm, right? As well as the private versus the public sector. But in 2023, the average range is $68,000 a year, and the high is $180,000, and the low is $45,000. And I didn't put this on here, but the cost for law school, anyone want to know that? So the average cost for law school is $73,000, right? Including tuition and fees, right? Because so that includes everything: living costs, books, personal expenses. And in public law schools, if it's in state, it's $52,000, and out of state is $65,000. So, and what can I do with a law degree? Well, obviously you can practice law, right? I mean, you can be a public defender, you can be a real estate lawyer, you can be a corporate lawyer. You can go work at a nonprofit, but you can also do conflict and negotiation resolution. You can work for a developmental agency. You can get into government and politics. A lot of presidents have been lawyers. And you can be an entrepreneur, which is what I am now. You can get into academia, you can be a professor, or you can go into public interest advocacy. So there's a lot of things you can do with a law degree besides just practicing law. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the importance of first year grades. So it's really important. That's why I did this class, because people don't realize that you got to start strong in law school, because your first year grades, employers hire their second year students primarily on their first year GPAs. So you want to make sure they're strong, because normally if you get a job in your second year, right, or during that summer between your first and second year, they are prepping you to work for them, when you graduate. So it's important, if you can get a really good job, then that you're kind of set for when you graduate. And first year grades also impact academic honors. You can get the Amjad Award, you can get honors, and then which looks good on your resume as well. So it's important to keep up your grades. Okay, so law school is not college all over again, which we talked about. So it's an entirely different way of teaching, learning, and testing that will be pretty foreign to you, but hopefully just from this brief discussion we've had, you guys are beginning to get the idea that you're not spoon-fed anything, that you need to figure it out. And you need to think analytically rather than just regurgitating information from rote memory. So it really teaches you how to think, which is great. I mean, it's a very creative process. Okay, so how to study smarter, not just harder. So first of all, and this could apply to college too, is you do the reading, don't fall behind, because you could have 50 pages of reading a night, right? For a particular course, let's say. If you get behind, you're never going to catch up. And you need to keep up, and you need to brief the case and take notes in class, right? Because you want to know what's important to your professor. Which you guys should do in college too. You should really figure out what is important, because if your professor, even in college, is emphasizing something a lot, particularly, that's probably going to be on the exam. I mean, because you can kind of read them. Arrive at class prepared and attend class regularly. This is really important. I mean, the majority of your grade in law school is based on your final exam, but they do have a percentage, and he'll tell you, or she, the professor will tell you at the beginning of the semester, they do have a percentage on class participation. So it could bump you up by going to class and participating. And prepare those class outlines, form a study group. Don't cram, never cram, because you cannot cram in law school, it's just too much information. And take practice exams. So the professors will have in the library, they'll have old exams that they've used in the past, right? But I wouldn't take a practice exam until you've actually studied all that information. Because if you try to take it right away, you're not going to know anything because you haven't studied it yet. So wait to take the practice exam. But it's important to understand what the exam looks like to take such. See, I told you I'd get through this pretty fast. Wow. Okay, so this is my course and the how to prepare for law school in 1 week. And I have these, that's why I want to have some time for you guys afterwards anyway, because I know you probably have to rush out to something else. I want you guys to take one of these postcards and also kind of look at the book here. And then also we're going to raffle off my book. So, and my class goes over all of this, but in much more detail. I mean, I'm trying to condense a lot of information for you guys just to get a broad overview. And so this is just a kind of interesting things that you'll get from my course. And I do, I have like videos and I do meditations. So after each video, you have a meditation and then you have a quiz and a homework assignment. So in 1 week, it's like basically the videos are maybe half an hour long. They're very engaging. It's not a lot, but it'll give you a bird's eye perspective of what law school is about. And I go into way more detail about all this information. I've just kind of scratched the surface of with you guys today. Okay, so questions? You had some good questions. Okay, yes.
I was just gonna say, do you have any advice for like, cause I know when I'm hearing when people go to law school, they have to read a lot. And do you have any advice for like skim reading? And that's something I'm like working on in college right now, but I'm the type of person that like really likes to read in detail and everything, but like obviously you don't have the time for that.
No, you don't. And you don't want to skim particularly, but you're going to have to learn how to read. Yes, I think that's important for you to focus on right now if you like to read really thoroughly, because it's going to take you too long. Because if you have 50 pages just for one class, and let's say you have 2 classes the next day and you've got 100 pages you got to read, and you got to be briefing these cases, right? If you have to be able to just, this is what you like, if you just want to look at it and maybe just kind of skim the whole thing once and then dig in and look for those pieces that I talked to you about, which were, you know, the issue and the rule of law. So in other words, this is what I would tell you is kind of skim the whole case once just to look and see what it's all about, right? And then after that, go in and dive in and figure out what the issue is, who the parties are, but you don't have to read it with the finest detail. And I think that's important for you. There are classes that you can take, you know, for reading comprehension to read faster. I don't know, there's some online things that you could do, but it's a good habit to have to be able to read thoroughly, and that's gonna be good quality, but you don't have time to spend too much time on each case, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Okay. You were talking earlier about some of the classes that happen in 1L, and you mentioned within criminal procedure, and then you got to talking about constitutional law a little bit, which it seems those classes kind of overlap a bit, don't they? Because like within criminal procedure, you have to know about the specific rights that come from con law, or
Yeah, well, that's true, but they teach you in criminal procedure, because the main things that come up in criminal procedure you're right, from the Constitution, right? Are the right to counsel, right? And the you know, what is it? The Miranda rights and the search and seizure, all those kind of things. Yes, they are kind of tied to the Constitution, but they're specifically criminal safeguards and it's a little bit different. Constitutional law is way broader than that. It's more First Amendment freedoms, due process of law, you know, I mean, so it's but you're right, there is a little bit of overlap, but and they will go over all of the criminal safeguards. It's basically safeguards against the defendant, you know, to make sure that they're, you know, properly represented.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Do they cover, I know you said they covered constitutional law, do they also cover international law, or is that something?
Oh, that's a good question, which I did not bring up in this presentation, is you will take that your second year. This first year, this is what you take. You don't have any choice. You do it. And this, because all of these courses are the foundations for international law, because international law has to do with treaties and contracts and things like that. Well, contract law is kind of the precursor to that. And also property law, I don't know if I put that up there or not, but property law also has to deal with wills and trusts, people, and that is a specific elective you can take in your second and third year. So basically you get through your first year, you decide which of those courses kind of interest you, right? And then you move forward to other kinds of classes. They have detailed constitutional law classes. There's classes like that. They have wills and trusts, they have taxation, international law, dispute resolution, evidence, which is part of criminal law. Well, but it's a separate course for the rules of evidence that you'll take. So in other words, that's why it's easy-ish for me to teach this course and in my book, because it's all the same, no matter what law school you go to. So you're not gonna, the way it's taught is gonna be maybe a little different depending on what law school you are. But also, I want to tell you guys that when you're applying to law school, think about applying to an accredited law school. I don't know if you know what that's all about, but that means that they're accredited by the American Bar Association, and you can practice law in any state, right? Once you get your law degree, but you have to take the bar. I don't know if you guys know this, but once you graduate from law school, you have to take the bar exam. But you can go to school in California, right, and graduate. And then let's say you want to practice law in Alabama. You can go to Alabama and take the Alabama bar. But if you don't go to a law school that's accredited by the ABA, then you can only practice law in that state. So there's law schools that are only accredited in California. So that means that if you go to that school, you graduate, you can't practice anywhere else. You can't even take the bar. You can only practice in California. So that's something to think about, when you're doing the application process. Any other questions? Might as well ask me.
I have one question.
Oh, yeah, sure. Because it's good, because I'm here. I'm happy to tell you guys anything you want to hear.
I guess when you were talking about study smarter and not harder, you said to prepare like class outlines. What do you mean by what do you mean by that? Like,
Okay, so class outline for law school would look like this. So it's different for each class. So for torts, right, you're going to look at your professor's syllabus, right, the way he teaches it. So when he teaches you torts, he's going to start with intentional torts, and there's different categories of intentional torts. And then he's going to teach you about negligence. There's different categories of negligence. So your number one is intentional torts. Then underneath that, the way I do it is I go A, I don't know if you guys do this, and then A, and then you'll say, okay, assault is one intentional tort. Then underneath that, you'll write the definition of an assault, which you have to know, right? Then the B would be battery, and then C would be conversion, or whatever the torts are. Then when you're done with that, then you go to the next one, which would be negligence. Then you list all and then you do strict liability torts. And then you have another section in your outline, which is defenses to them, because you have to, because in real life and on the bar, on your exams, he's going to ask you, did an assault occur? Let's just say. So you have to know the elements of assault to know if it occurred. You have to analyze whether, like, remember I told you an assault is the apprehension of someone going to have immediate contact. Battery is when they actually punch you, but assault is just you're scared. So basically, let's just say that I go up to you, show you I'm gonna go and I scare you, right? And so you want to sue me for assault because you said that I really scared you and you ended up having a heart attack. I don't know. So that could be an exam, though. I mean, that could be an exam question. So would I be responsible for your heart attack because I scared you? And so those are different things that you're going to have to find and spot in your answer. You're going to have to, discuss those. So basically, that if you get this outline going, you memorize all these rules. That's what you are going to memorize. You have to memorize in law school. You have to know the rules. You cannot go into an exam and not know the elements of a tort otherwise, or whatever they are, because you will get any sort of grade, because you have to know that, and then you have to analyze, if that makes sense. It's kind of fun, actually, you know, I mean, it is, it's challenging, but it's very creative.
Thank you.
We have one question in the chat that says, do you have to know what type of law you want to practice while in law school?
Oh, no, wherever you are, okay, no, you don't have to know what kind of law you can decide later on, it doesn't matter, but you will know after your first year, most probably, whether you're, you know, you like criminal law and criminal procedure, you'll want to take trial advocacy classes, and you'll want to take evidence and things on that path, if that's something that really interests you, right? Or if you constitutional, maybe you want to be a constitutional law lawyer, or contracts, but you don't have to know. You can just take classes because when in your second, third year, what interests you, and eventually you'll figure it out. I thought I wanted to be an entertainment law lawyer for some reason. I thought that sounded really great. But my second year, I took an entertainment law class, and it was so horrible. I did so bad in the class. I thought, no, I don't even understand. I don't want to do this. So, you know, you can experiment with it, but no, that's a good question. Anyone else out there on the Zoom that have a question? Oh, and by the way, maybe we should put this code thing on for them. How are
Yeah,
they gonna?
Well, we can send it in like our group chat that we have.
Okay, well, here, I mean, you guys will all get one, but we'll give this to the Zoom people. So you guys will all have a discount on the course if you want to take it during the summer, just for 1 week, you know. You probably don't want to take it now because there's too much going on, but you know, or sometime. Okay, all right, anyone else? Okay, well, okay, if no one else has any other questions, we're gonna do like a little 5-minute meditation, and then we'll end a little early and you guys kind of look at these materials, and then we'll do the raffle drawing. So, okay, I'm gonna sit down, and I have it written down. Okay, so we're going to do it sitting down. I tell people that they can also lie down, but let's just sit. So sit up nicely, kind of just shake things up a little bit. Shake out your hands and kind of roll your shoulders back a little bit. Feels good. And then roll them forward. Because your shoulders carry a lot of tension. And then just drop everything down. And then just for a second, roll your neck to the right. And then roll it up to center. I really feel this on my neck on the one side. And then roll it to the left. And then center. And then just look back a little bit. And nice stretch in your neck. And then come to center. And then roll forward. Bring your chin to your neck to your chin or whatever, and come up. Okay, now from here, take a deep breath and just close your eyes for a minute. So you can have your hands just palms up on your lap or whatever is comfortable. Just be comfortable and just close your eyes for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through this little guided meditation, and I just want you guys just to take some breaths. First of all, take a deep breath into your nose and out to your nose. And just start to really feel and focus on your breath, just how it feels as you inhale and exhale. And just start to quiet your mind just for a moment. This is just your time. There's nothing else to do but be here. So we're going to do a gratitude meditation, which is a type of meditation that focuses on expressing gratitude for the things in your life. It's important to note that gratitude is not just about being thankful for the good things in your life, but it's also about being thankful for everything in your life. There are things in your life which might initially seem bad, but upon further reflection, actually give you an opportunity to learn and grow. Part of gratitude is recognizing these blessings in all things. So with your eyes still closed, just continue to breathe in and out through your nose and still your mind and body for a moment. So what are you grateful for at this moment? It could be your health, your family, friends, making the commitment to come today, or a myriad of other things. Make it unique to you. Spend some time right now mentally listing things you're grateful for, including the challenges in your life. Think of obstacles as stepping stones to your growth. And be grateful for the lessons you can learn from them. And just take a moment here of silence, just focusing on just everything you're grateful for. It's so important to do this little meditation first thing in the morning when you wake up. Two, it'll get your mind in a more thankful mood. And you'll notice all these good things that start to happen to you. Slowly come back to your breath. Take a deep breath into your nose again. And exhale through your mouth and just let it all out. Just let a big sigh out. It's important just to stop, to breathe, to relax. These meditations, especially the ones I do on my videos, they're really short, but they're meant to kind of get you into a different zone very quickly. So keep an attitude of gratitude the rest of your evening as you slowly open your eyes. You should just feel kind of calmer, a little calmer. And I have different meditations that I do in this video, you know, I do the gratitude ones, other ones I just focus on relaxing all the different parts of your body. But it really is good just to take that time, because you'll feel so much more refreshed and ready to kind of conquer your day. You know, people think you just work, but you know, you need to take some time for yourself to do that. So anyway, thank you guys for coming today. I'm really excited that you had the opportunity to come and meet all of you guys. And I hope this was helpful to you. And I'm going to give you guys all the flashcards, these cards. And then I'm going to go through these tickets. And I guess I'll just I don't have anything to do, but I'll just close my eyes and I'll pick one out. Okay, here's mine. Okay, it's okay, was this right? Okay, 8803383.
Oh, that's me.
Yay! You're welcome. And thank you guys here. I'll just go and hand you guys out a postcard, and then you'll give one to all your,
Yes.
pre-law people if they're interested in it. I was like, okay. But anyway, well, thank you guys for coming, and if you guys want to go look at that textbook, you can, you're more than welcome to